Peace and blessings, my brothers and sisters, my friends, my fans, and all my listeners. Welcome to another edition of FMW Live in the studio. I want to talk with you tonight and a lot of you ain't gonna like what I'm about to say, because what I'm about to say is inconceivable. It's unbelievable. It's unimaginable. It's unfathomable, but it's true. It's true. Overwhelming evidence continues to support the findings that hip-hop initially and has always been a homosexual initiation and the transitioning into the lifestyle of man-on-man relationships. I know what you're saying. Wiz, why you not reacting like you normally would react? Why haven't you let the gorilla out the cage? The answer to that question is that I'm practicing restraint. I'm working on holding back. I'm trying to be better in how I react. Oh, don't get it twisted. The rage in me wants to say, oh, hell no! You should have never did that. But I'm learning to hold back. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, brothers and sisters, we've all been set up. We've all been set up. We've all been duped. We've all been tricked. Played out. We've all been fucked. We've all been fucked with no Vaseline. Damn. Ugh. A lot of you won't be able to see it because you're in it. Because you grew up in it. Because you're a part of the experience. So you won't be able to see it now. If certain particular things hadn't happened, if certain particular things hadn't come to pass, then you would still be stuck in it. You gotta take the bitter with the sweet. But today, Salvation has arrived. And all praise is due to the Most High. Surely the Most High speaks the truth. You see, it's all because my walk had to be different. Okay? My walk had to be different. Different from most of the so-called icons that you look up to. Most of these heroic figures, legendary pioneers. My walk had to be the untold story. It had to be the untold story of the secrets and politics behind hip-hop. This is what you gotta understand. My walk had to be the sacrificial element. It had to be made so the truth could be told. It had to be made so the truth could be told. I understand this now. And the truth is, hip-hop is gay. Hip-hop is gay. Yes. There's a saying that comes to mind. To you be your way, and to me be mine. Yeah. To you be your way, and to me be mine. Everyone has the free will to walk their own walks. You do. I admit that. Everyone has the free will to make their own decisions. I agree. Everyone has the right to love who they want to love. And everyone has the right to live the way that they want to live. Everyone has the free will. This is what makes man so great. He has free will to make free decisions. And why is that? Because no bearer bears the burden of another. No bearer of burden bears the burden of another. So with that being said, to you be your way, and to me be mine. I'm good with that. That's fair. That makes sense. That's intelligent. That's balanced. That's godly. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's godly. But when you placed inside of a situation that's already set up, that's already rigged, when you placed in a system that's already fixed, already laid out and prearranged, it's a setup. It's a setup. When the whole engagement has been pre-assembled, put together for you, it's a setup. It's a trap. It's a trap. Let's explore this theory by going back to the beginning, to the root of it all, to the storyline of the birth of hip-hop. Let's take it back to the days where it all began. The storyline is hip-hop started with DJ Kool Herc, Afrika Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash. That storyline has already been confirmed to be not true. Surely not true. So they're saying DJ Kool Herc, Afrika Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash are not the pyramid of hip-hop. It's not true. There were a few other DJs before them who played outside, who played inside, who played in the clubs and the rec centers, who came out and did block parties. There was Disco King Mario, for instance. Rest in peace, my brother. No credit is given to Disco King Mario. But he was there before all three of them were. He was also from the Bronx. Yeah. During the development of their agenda. Think about it. But seriously speaking, the public narrative given to the people is that these three individuals are the founding fathers of hip-hop. Let's get right down to it. Now, I ain't one to gossip. I'm just one to tell the truth. So what I want to do is I want to examine the storyline. Let's dissect the narrative, starting with DJ Kool Herc.
You had your sound system working in New York from up to then?
No, I was taking junior high school.
Yeah, I see.
I was around 13 years old back then.
Yeah, okay. But then you started your sound system.
I started to go to parties when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And around 18, 19, that's when I started to experiment with my own sound system, as far as building a sound system.
And
Kool Herc said that at 16, he started going to parties. At 18, he started DJing, building up his set. My question is, when you were going to these parties, Kool Herc, who was the DJ? Who was mixing the records? Who was playing the beats? Who was you listening to? Who was you watching? Who was you learning from? Who did you respect? Play the audio, Bob. Play the audio.
I could tell you for a sound system is on the US side. That the Smith Brothers, respect them. Soul Brothers out of Brooklyn, Japan, Nell Gwynns, respect them. I don't know if it's a Jamaican crew, but I know the Soul Brothers played Nell Gwynns at 42nd Street. And they had brothers like Plummer, LaBoya, Flowers, and the Disco Twins. And their boys was really into technology and big, heavy sound.
As the interview continued, they asked DJ Kool Herc a very, very significant question. It's very important that we listen to this. They asked him, was it hard for you as a Jamaican to mix in with the FBA, foundational Black American culture? Let's take a listen to that. Play the tape, Bob.
What about the culture? How hard was it for you to get into the culture?
It was, well, I could say one thing. It wasn't fashionable being a Jamaican at one point. It wasn't.
Right.
And I never had my culture. Really, I never did. What I was getting Americanized, though. The myth. Let's get to the myth. The myth of Kool Herc. The myth is that DJ Kool Herc played Jamaican and reggae music. That he was known for playing Jamaican and reggae music. And that it was because of the Jamaican and reggae music and his big, loud sound system. This is what somewhat inspired hip-hop. This is the myth.
So the myth would be that the reggae records that Herc played were instrumental in the foundation of hip-hop. That's not what he says happened. He says the opposite.
At the time, it wasn't, said some little bit of U-Roy, a little bit of Bob, but it wasn't constant because I wasn't playing for reggae artists. I'm playing for African American kids. They don't know nothing about the reggae, but my heritage, my background, I'm a Jamaican, so I never hide that. So when I want to hear some reggae music, I'm playing my reggae music because I'm going to come back to you in a few more minutes and give you what you want.
So he's clearly describing an atmosphere where people are not interested in the Jamaican music. Probably, and as a DJ, I know that you can play records that you like early on in the evening. As long as later in the evening you're playing for the crowd, you know what the crowd wants to hear. They didn't want to hear the Jamaican music because there was a culture in place that he was playing to. The Jamaican records he was playing was not a part of the culture that was taking place.
And that's how I play my music. I got formats. So you're going to hear your music. I'm part of my format, giving people what they want. And along the way, I want to hear what I want to hear. You know, so I take time out to give you what's yours and respect me for, giving me mine. So it was never me saying forcing reggae on people. I'm a Jamaican. I never hide it, never will. But I'm in Romans with the Romans too.
Now we come to Africa Bambaataa. Where do we begin? So much has been said, so much has been presented, many allegations, many storylines and narratives, things we didn't know that were going on. It all started with Beef Stinger, but it ended with Hassan Campbell. Yes. Hassan Campbell laid it out right here for us all. Let's go to the tape.
Okay, so you've always seen Bambaataa around, but then was it around 12, 13 where you actually got sort of involved in Zulu Nation, started spending more time with them?
Yeah.
Okay. And what really led you to doing that?
Well, see, growing up in Bronx River and being a part of the Zulu Nation, you had a lot of warriors that was part of the Zulu Nation. It was guys that you really, really looked up to and you wanted to be a part of them. It's almost sort of like the gang culture that's going on right now, but the difference was you had some killers in the Zulu Nation. You had some break dancers in the Zulu Nation. You had some rappers. Every once in a while you would see LL Cool J. You would see Ice-T. You would see everybody. So it's like now you got it's like right now going around Lil Wayne and Young Thug and all these younger ones right now. The kids is gonna go crazy. So now when you seeing, because it wasn't just so much about Africa Bambaataa, it was about the family. Everybody in Bronx River was part of the Zulu Nation. Our parents grew up in the Zulu Nation, and it was the older generations. And now you get to see the warriors, and you just wanted to be a part of that. Like, for example, you don't really hear his name too much. B.O. was a big inspiration in my life that made me want to be a part of the Zulu Nation, and my big brother Jerry. These were dudes in that time that were strong, real strong brothers.
Okay, so you started hanging out with Africa Bambaataa. You're 13 or so at the time, and you said he was like a father to you.
Right.
And you didn't have your father around. He was in and out on drugs.
Right.
Okay. So at what point did it turn into just an innocent relationship to something going wrong?
Yeah, where do I start with that? Is him being in the house, coming with the tapes, the VCR, the Vaseline, the porn, and it's like, oh, okay, this is getting weird. Like, I'll give you an example. What one day when me and Eric was there, and we in the office / workout room, the room next to the bathroom, 1609. So we in that room, and it's a weight bench in there, and me and Eric, we working out. We on the bench pressing. Bam comes in the room. He got the Polaroid camera. And now he's convincing us, oh, look at those muscles. So now he gassing us up to take our shirt off so we could flex our muscles. And when he walked out of the room and he started doing the clicking, he clicking with the camera. Me and Eric, we looks at each other, and he was like, "Yo, you seen that episode of Different Strokes with Arnold and Dudley?" And it was the same situation with them, So that takes you back to one of our experiences with Bam. This is what he do.
Okay. At what point did he actually start to molest you, though, after showing you
Yeah,
tapes and so forth?
absolutely.
at that point, he started to actually.
He follows you in the bathroom. Now when you go in the bathroom, he has to go in the bathroom with you, and he's peeing at the same time. It's like he's incredible. Now he's timing you going to the bathroom and pissing at the same time when he's pissing. Then he comes with the young men are supposed to jerk off, and then he leaves his room door open with porn playing, and he might walk out and then just have you sitting there. And then he leaves you with the porn playing. Then he turns around, and this is how you really like he's bugged out, and you realize how sick he really is, especially when you think back. Now he has books, and in those black books, people you never think that you would ever even expect is in those books, butt ass naked. And when you look at those books, you actually looking at stair steps of the older generation before you in those books, and him catching all these guys at a young age.
Okay, are these people that we know about these days?
Well, some of them probably. And I know in the past I done threw names out, and I said I'm gonna try my best not to really call people out, but in the streets, woo-wee. Like, yeah. I mean, the reality of it is, it's like this in Bronx River, and a lot of people don't want to admit it. One day, there was a fight, and I said this in my video that Star had put up. One day there was a fight going on. I believe it was a Roy Jones fight, and there was like 50 dudes inside the apartment watching the fight. So when I come in, I'm the last one to come into the fight. So somebody said to me, they was like, all right, Bam done tried everybody in this room. What'd he do to you? Then the whole room bust out laughing. I started laughing with him, but later on I was like deep in thought, like, this nigga got me. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the people that, in Bronx River, if it's 10 people in the room, Bam got 7 of them.
I mean, look, if you're gay, especially if you're a celebrity, you could find a boyfriend, or you could find a man that's willing to do things with you. I mean, being a celebrity puts you in a different kind of place when it comes to relationships. Why do you think that he was focusing on young kids as opposed to just finding someone who's 18 or older?
Because that's the whole key to it. It's like I tell people all the time, when that man go to sleep at nighttime, he doesn't have a boyfriend that he's going to sleep with. It's always a child. And I'm not going to say that he's not into, grown men. But the reality of it is, his history, his timeline, it's always been little boys. He's always kept little boys around him, sort of like Michael Jackson. It's always little boys around.
Yeah, pretty much that's what he had to say. But it got hot in the kitchen. It got real hot in the kitchen. And so what happened? Africa Bambaataa chose to go to the media, Fox 5, and give a confession or an admission or a denial. But he gave an addressing, not to hip hop, not to the culture, not to the people who expected and deserved an answer, not to the people who were the victims of his deception. He went to the media. And it went something like this. Roll the tape, Bob.
When I was doing so much other work in the community at the time.
A Fox 5 exclusive, one of hip-hop's founding fathers speaking out for the first time on television about shocking child abuse allegations. And the list of accusers is growing, and they all tell similar stories.
Africa Bambaataa being accused of sexually abusing several underage boys decades ago. Lisa Evers sat down with him for an exclusive TV interview to answer the allegations. She joins us now. Lisa.
Well, Stephen Derry, Africa Bambaataa brought peace to violent city streets, but now he is accused of a crime that is tough to forgive: molesting boys. He sat down with me for this exclusive interview, and no questions were off limits.
Have you ever abused any underage boy?
I never abused nobody. You know, it just sounds crazy to people to say that here you abused me. You know, my thing is, you know, all my people back then. You know, the hundreds of people that been around me. You know, if something like that happened, why you never want to? None of them.
It also sounded crazy to many fans of his 1980s hit song, Planet Rock, considered one of the all-time greatest in hip-hop. Since then, as the founder of the hip-hop cultural organization Zulu Nation, he's been a visiting professor at Cornell and invited to speak around the world. He told me the accusations came as a shock.
What is the motivation?
Yeah, what is the motivation? What is the agenda?
Do you think there is an agenda there?
It's hard to say. You know, you don't know what many of these people are thinking, what is behind it. Some parts I've seen like it could be shake-ups. You know, certain things people might have wanted.
Bambaataa's chief accuser, Ronald Savage, is now 50 years old. He claims in 1980, when he was 15 and under the age of consent, playing hooky led to his first sexual experience with the hip-hop pioneer, and was followed by at least 4 other abuse incidents.
I didn't have nowhere to go, so I had his number, and I called him, and he paid for the cab for me to go to his house.
Savage claims through therapy he came to understand he was abused and became aware of other alleged victims.
I couldn't believe it. I was confused. I was a little nervous, you know, and I was just wondering, like, the other guy coming into the room and like, what was they gonna do to me?
I asked Bambaataa what he would say to Savage.
The brother knows the people who he came around in my group with and know that he wasn't in my presence less among those people, and he needs to go back and speak to those people who was part of our organization and deal with them and stop all this type of craziness that they've been trying to put by attacking me.
And you never touched him inappropriately?
I ain't touched this brother whatsoever.
The allegations have set off a social media firestorm and ignited feverish debate. Since the alleged incidents happened so long ago, no criminal charges can be brought. And there have been no settlements or payouts, says Bambaataa attorney Charles Tucker Jr.
Have there been any criminal charges filed against Africa Bambaataa at all?
Absolutely not. Not today, not yesterday, not the day before yesterday, not ever.
Question now is what happens next? Can we ever find out the truth of what really occurred? And are there other victims out there who have yet to come forward? Or is this a case that will only be tried in the court of public opinion? Here's what both sides have to say.
In our exclusive interview, Africa Bambaataa emphatically maintained he is not a sexual abuser.
Do you feel now you are among that group of people falsely accused?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, there's always been things in our community where you falsely accuse people, or people that sit in the prisons, you know, political prisoners and groups like that, that they wait to 10, 15, 20, even 30 or 40 years before they find out that this person was railroaded.
But Ronald Savage believes there are more victims out there and that the statute of limitations should be eliminated.
No one can tell anyone when they're ready to let stuff out. And especially if you haven't went through what I went through and other people went through. It's like, how dare you?
Now, some of you may say, he said he didn't do it. He said it's all a lie. He's denying those allegations. He said it's a damn lie. Okay. Well, let's ask someone who was there, who was around. Okay, you don't got to take my word. You ain't got to look at the tape. You ain't got to listen to what he said. You ain't got to trust none of that. Let's get a witness. Let's get some live testimony. Somebody who you can trust. Somebody who you believed in. Your champion. Melly Mel. Talk to the people.
Something, to stay in the trend where the music was going, and then that's when we did Scorpio.
Okay, and were you close to Africa Bambaataa?
But we all grew up together. Now, I'm not saying we was close because, see, what it was back then, it wasn't like it was beef, but it was always competition. So Bam was the competition. And we had healthy respect for him because, we had the Zulu Nation, you would do the anniversary, we would come, we perform, so we wasn't necessarily close, but we traveled the same circle. So we was good.
I mean, when you fast forward years later, when you hear about the accusations of Bambaataa, about the molestation charges and everything else like that, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it's not like people didn't know, or it's not like it was something that was unknown, in other words. But it was just something that was like, maybe hip hop's best kept secret or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you knew, and you saying everyone pretty much knew that Africa Bambaataa was gay.
It is what it is. I mean, you got people that would deny it. You got people that would say they don't know. I'm saying everybody knew it, so it was all right there. So, I mean,
Well, I mean, being gay is especially these days, is perfectly acceptable. Not a big deal, but messing with underage boys is something completely different.
Well, see that part about it, you would have to interview him because our whole thing and my whole thing is like I said, is everybody knew, It ain't like it wasn't like it was a mystery. It was, that's Bam. And so,
Now we come to Grandmaster Flash. Grandmaster Flash has managed to stay under the radar, to not be in the spotlight, to not talk too much. So for Grandmaster Flash, I never heard him say a lot of the things that people say about him. Like I never heard him say he was the founding father of hip hop. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be this, that, and the third. I've never heard him poke his chest out, stand on all of these allegedlys. Never seen the brother do that. He always stayed under the radar, always played low key. Gotta watch that. He's a thinker. But I got inside the mind of Flash when he gave this brief interview. It made me see and understand him from a whole nother perspective. Yo, Bob, please do me the honors and roll the tape.
Now you think, this is not what I intended.
I'm happy. I have to be totally, because the way that I see this here is something that is loved by so many people has to change. It has to go through its changes and do different things.
Okay.
It has to. Otherwise it's stagnant.
Yeah.
And it doesn't grow.
But you kind of created it.
I didn't say that, you did.
It's deep. Gets deeper. See, once we begin to gather up the facts, once we begin to compare timelines and list all of the players in the game, from Africa Bambaataa all the way down to P. Diddy, then it all begins to make sense. It all begins to add up. You all have been fucked with no Vaseline. Ugh. Now it all makes sense. You all have been bent over. Just the thought of it. No Vaseline. Screwed. Down on your knees. Well, I told you a long time ago, and I told you over and over and over again, hip-hop will be rewritten. But you didn't listen. You didn't take heed. You didn't pay attention. You didn't. You gestured. You whispered. You cackled. But today, everybody's quiet. Nobody's talking. Nobody's speaking up. Nobody's standing up. Mums is the word. The silent storm. All of this, since Diddy went down, a lot of people have sat down, and there are those who have even left town. Now it all makes sense. It all makes sense. It's all adding up. Hip-hop is gay. Man, oh man. Now I understand. I get it. I get it. I get it. Totally. This is how we ended up with men in dresses. This is how we ended up with brothers wearing 2 earrings in their ears. I get it. This is how we ended up with brothers and pocketbooks. I get it. This is how we ended up with brothers wearing pink. I get it. This is how we got Lil Nas X. I get it. The freak offs. I get it. The baby oil. I get it. The little children. Epstein. The list. Weinstein. And all of the Frankensteins that were created. Dang. Hip hop's been a setup. It's a setup. And any of those, let me make this perfectly clear. Any of you who want to claim the title, who want to receive the credit, who want to be addressed, who wants to be recognized as the founding father, then you should be held accountable for misleading the sheep.